I'm going to welcome Brian Walsh. He is an account executive at Notable. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're
So
welcome.
Brian Walsh from Enable. And if you're unfamiliar with Enable, we have sort of a technology stack across remote monitoring and management, security. And what I'm going to spend some time here this afternoon talking through is our backup and disaster recovery platform called Cove Data Protection. And we really aim to solve sort of three universal challenges for MSPs that span across, what's top of mind for a lot of folks, which is cyber. So how do we build a resilient data platform for our partners, profitable growth, and labor efficiency? And really, if you're interested, the breakout, we'll talk through the labor efficiency, and I can provide a demo of how simple it is to manage this SaaS-based platform across deployment and data restoration. But let's spend a little bit of time talking through how Cove works differently as it relates to backup and disaster recovery. So really what we provide is this SaaS-based platform that's multi-tenanted, unified management across the different workloads that you need to protect for your customers. So that includes servers, it includes workstations, it includes Microsoft 365 across Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, as well as Teams, without any infrastructure that gets deployed, right? So we're fully managing that platform and that cloud storage, providing the immutability and ultimately allowing you to have flexible recovery outcomes for your customers. So file folder restore, image restore into a hypervisor or into Azure public cloud, and really automating the testing. So if you're unfamiliar with Cove, we've been in the market for over 15 years. We've gone through a rebranding effort with the Cove Data Protection Platform name, but today we serve 14,000 MSPs across the globe, protecting nearly 200,000 businesses across their devices, and then have over 2.5 million users of M365 that are protected today. There's really two things that, in essence, make us different than other solutions in the market. Backup and disaster recovery is a crowded marketplace, but there really are two elements that make it very difficult for our competitors to stack up against us. And the first is this concept of true delta differencing backup. Really what this means is we move dramatically less data, which makes a direct to cloud SaaS platform possible, right? So it's all about the movement of data when we think about backup, right? Backup at its core is a very simple concept. I make a copy of data and I then need to move that copy of data. You need to be able to move that efficiently. So when we compare ourselves to the traditional image-based backup solution, they typically see a data change rate of like 5 to 10%. And the higher that change rate is, the larger that incremental backup is. So what does that mean? It means more bandwidth required. It means more time to actually run the backup. It ultimately means more storage that actually gets stored on your targets. That might be on premises, it might be in public cloud, right? So it's about the efficiency of the data movement. So this true delta differencing technology really does minimize that flow of data, right? So when we compare ourselves to those other solutions in the market, we're moving 60 times less data when these backups run. And when you start to look at that over time to meet data retention requirements, it really starts to add up from a storage utilization perspective. So it's about this minimizing the data movement. And when you move less data, as I mentioned, it's less bandwidth, it's less storage. It allows you to run a more frequent backup to lower recovery point objectives. So you lower that tolerance for data loss and ultimately increase retentions to be able to respond to the growing threat associated with cyber. So it's not uncommon for us to actually have organizations that have traditionally done a backup once daily, but this technology allows us to actually process rates of change at a much lower rate and then ultimately transfer less data. So that's really the power of this true delta differencing technology. And while we're not doing an image-based backup, we provide the ability to do an image-based restore, right? And that's really the simplicity and elegance that folks are looking for when something does go bump in the night. Being able to have a seamless, reliable recovery outcome is why we do backups in general. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the threat of cyber, right? Because that remains top of mind. So we really classify this as like the 3 I's of resilience, right? So you want isolation, you want immutability, and you want to verify the integrity of the data so that when you go to restore, you have that ability. So Cove has this all catered out of the box, right? So it's this cloud-first data protection platform that creates this secure isolation of the data. So if a bad actor were to get into a customer's network, they don't have any backup and recovery infrastructure to go attack. So it's this operational air gap approach that inherently becomes more secure. The second element of that is the immutability, right? And that's baked into this Cove data protection platform. So all these copies in the cloud are air gapped and not accessible to any threat actors. And then what we layer into that is this concept of automated recovery testing and anomaly detection so that you have the peace of mind and the confidence that if something were to happen, you do have the ability to restore. So when we're really talking to partners, we see 2 different types of personas, and that's really, where sort of backup as a service and disaster recoveries as a service allows our partners to standardize on a common stack. So they're able to deliver for the sort of cheap and cheerful end user, as well as the one who's very much SLA driven. So being able to offer a platform that delivers strong RPOs and strong RTOs, no matter what your customer looks like, is the power of Cove. So it's that unified management across all of your customers to deliver any outcome you're looking to achieve. Add in the Microsoft 365 element. We see a lot of partners just making this a mandate for their end user customers. This drives tremendous margins, tremendous recurring revenue. When they're selling to Microsoft, include the backup alongside of it. So why Cove data protection? We talked about the simplicity. We talked about the security. It's really about the ability to scale across all your customers and deliver that improved time to value. So appreciate the time. If you do have some time at the end of this and can attend our breakout, we'd be happy to show you a little bit more about Cove.